crime is a conduct, for example, theft, assault, or a failure to act, for example, not reporting a serious motor vehicle accident that is in violation of a law, where criminal behavior is behavior in violation of a criminal code. To be convicted of a crime, a person must act intentionally and without excuse. For example, self-defense or the insanity plea. There are many causes to crime. Crime is extremely complex, and we need to get a good understanding of crime if we want to be able to prevent crimes from occurring. When looking at crime, we need to be skeptical, we need to be open-minded, we need to not get stuck just on one thing. We need to look at a person's development, for example, and we need to be able to be objective and put our emotions aside. There are many theories of crime out there. Probably the most famous is classical crime theory by Jeremy Bentham, who basically states that people act with free will and are driven by the choice between the amount of pleasure one gains over the pain and punishment one may get. For example, a person walks into a grocery store. They don't have enough money to get that candy bar. They decide that they're likely going to get away with it. They're not too worried that if they get caught, what would happen to them. So they decide to take that candy bar. Where another person may go into that grocery store and decide that they don't want to do it because the embarrassment of being caught stealing a candy bar may be just way too much for them. Or they just have that conscience that says, you know, that's not right, that moral compass. Positivist theory basically states that prior experiences or development determines present behavior. There are many theories on human nature that are very well connected to criminology theories. For example, the conformity perspective states that everybody is inherently good and wants to do the right thing, where a nonconformist perspective states that people are basically bad, evil, and need laws and rules to be civil. Strain theory states that good people tend to do bad things when they are driven by their materialistic values and don't have the legal means of obtaining materials. For example, somebody might want a car, and everybody around them has a car, but they just don't have enough money for a car, and they might be more likely to embezzle or steal to obtain a car. You have the social learning theory, which basically states that people learn from watching other people. Criminology is the multidisciplinary study of crime. It incorporates things such as sociology, which looks at society and groups, as well as psychological criminology, which examines at the individual level their behavior, thoughts, emotions, development, and psychiatric criminology, which is more biologically based and looks for biological underpinnings of behavior. Criminal profiling is something that has really grown over the past several decades, which looks at characteristics of a crime and tries to match them to a person's personality, demographics, geographic location, and they're largely based on previous offenders who committed similar types of offenses. The Uniform Crime Report is published annually and has been since 1930 by the FBI. It is the most cited source of criminal statistics and includes over 18,000 law enforcement agencies. Some of the data that it collects is information related to age, gender, and race of persons that commit crimes, as well as cities and regions. It splits crimes into two categories: Part 1, which are more serious types of crimes, and Parts 2, which are lesser types of crimes. The Part 1 crimes, which used to be called index offenses, include things such as murder, forcible rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, theft, and arson. Where Part 2 crimes include simple assaults, forgery and counterfeiting, fraud, embezzlement, receiving stolen property, offenses against family, children, sex offenses that are non-forcible rape, drug violations, gambling, and vandalism. There are some problems with the Uniform Crime Report. With 18,000 agencies reporting to it, it's impossible that every agency, every time, is going to report in an accurate and consistent manner. Also, when several crimes occur within the same time period, oftentimes only the most serious of those crimes are the ones that are reported. It also does not account for the dark figure. The dark figure are crimes that go undetected. Certain regions are more likely to have undetected crimes. There are other reporting systems out there, although the UCR is the most common. The NIBRS, which stands for the National Incident-Based Reporting System, has been something that has been growing over the years, and is often used by researchers, although it has fewer agencies reporting to it, but there might be more consistency in how they report. There's also the NCVS, which is the National Crime Victimization Survey. What we know about crime and collecting data on crime is similar between adults and juveniles. Nevertheless, data on juvenile delinquency is likely more inaccurate than that of adults. Status offenses are offenses that are unique to juveniles, such as underage smoking, drinking, breaking curfew, those types of things, where status offenses do not apply to adults. The reasons for offending oftentimes vary even more greatly than that of adults, and some offenses are more due to developmental stage issues than it is something that is going to be a lifelong pattern. For example, some juveniles may commit crimes as a rite of passage